Hold on. My phone is like terribly slow. I have an outdated Android. So, yeah, babe. I see so many memes while we wait. I see so many memes about iPhone users talking about, oh, it's like your Androids are so slow, this, that, and the third. The new ones aren't slow. I don't know what kind of Android I have. This one is probably about as old as me, if I'm being completely honest. Maybe a little younger, but yeah. Hold on. Oh, oh. I might have to uninstall it. I'm gonna uninstall it and reinstall it, but I'm gonna try to like talk about anything that I can remember off the top of my head while I'm doing that because my phone is a little slow. So me and this dude, I'm gonna call him D because that's his initial, and he kind of acts like a D. If you know, you know. Um, Me and this dude met on Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which I know is probably like, oh, you're talking to strangers online or whatever. But honestly, I was only just surprised that he wasn't like an old man in disguise. Like, I literally FaceTimed this dude and everything. He's not an old man. Either that or he's like really good at pretending not to be an old man. But I'd hope he wasn't an old man. And for context, I live in one state and he lives in my neighboring state. We're in the US. He lives in my neighboring state, but it still take quite a few hours. And also, we hadn't even known each other for that long. Ordeal lasted about 3 to 4 months. If I'm being completely honest with you, like 3 to 4 months. So yeah, I really am bad with like not time. I'm bad with time too, but I'm bad with like remembering stuff in relation to time. Like if you ask me to remember something in relation to time, it's not happening. How long ago did you eat? A few minutes ago. Actually, that was like 4 hours ago. We should probably eat again. But yeah, that's an example. Um, there we go. Finally log into my account. All right. I just have to uninstall it and reinstall it. That's it. Um, so we started texting August 10th, somewhere around August 10th. But we'd known each other, I think, a month or two before then. I think it was like June, actually, maybe just a month. I wouldn't say 2 months, probably just a month. Um, this is all like his backstory. Me, I broke up with him September 22nd, 8 days before my birthday. His mom didn't know like we dated. I doubt his mom even knew I really existed because he told me to pretend that I was someone else. Like he told me to pretend I was a boy's name instead of my real, very feminine name. He's a white guy, bluish gray eyes, I could never tell, and brown hair. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So I started pulling away from him around September 17th. And I'll go into like why that is now. And then at the end, maybe I'll go back up to the top and read that little note that I made for myself. But everything started when we were talking. Okay, so at that point, we had known each other for I think around 2 months, a month-ish. And he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I postponed because we were going to in-person school. Like it would be my first year into this new school, and I didn't want to say yes and then just keep looking at a different guy. I didn't think that'd be fair to him. So I waited until I went there, like kind of scoped out the situation or whatever. And I was like, okay, some of these guys are very mid. So I told him yeah, and we started dating. And then we were having a conversation, and I made the mistake of joking about like how Trump is literally the bane of everyone's existence because he's like kind of blowing up the government, if that makes any sense. I personally think like the whole Venezuela thing and everything is like it's a lot. So yeah, I made that mistake. This was before his like ice reign of terror too. He had a very intense reaction to what I said. He said that Trump never did anything wrong, and when I bring up the essay allegations, he also said that it never happened. Um, I if I feel like it, maybe I can also go back to my live stream that I streamed and like trim out a little bit to add it to like somewhere in this video or like just the entire screen. Then the conversation drifted to deportation, and I asked him, "Do you think that I should be deported too, since he's targeting Black, Brown, and Asians on top of that Latin Americans?" And for context, my my ancestors are from Ghana, and my other side is Apache, so I'm very colored. But he said, yeah, because my great 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 grandmother was an African, so somewhere down the line, my family lived in Africa, which apparently means that even though me, my mom, her mom, her mom, and her mom were all born in America, apparently that means I have to go back to Africa, even though I literally don't even speak the language. I'd have to go to an English speaking country. Like, please don't. Trump, if you're gonna send me, don't send me to a country that speaks a different language. I'm gonna starve. Like, I'm gonna die. They're gonna be like, yo, did you know there's rattlesnakes under there? And I'm not even gonna understand them. I'm really not. So please don't do that. He said, yeah, or whatever, yada, yada, yada. And so I brought up the fact that I'm Native American, and he said that I should still be deported because I'm half African too. So that's fun. After that, I told my mom, and she gave me a great piece of advice that I suggest you guys hold true to your heart as well. Her exact words were, "Don't bring politics into the bedroom." Like, AKA, just don't bring politics into the relationship at all. Not just like while you guys are doing whatever you're doing in the bedroom, you disgusting, disgusting heathens. I'm joking. That's you guys' business. But like, yeah. Then, um, I was trying to like completely avoid talking to politics with him after that because I'm a super like not neutral. I just kind of hate both sides. Like, there's parts of both sides that I think are completely irrational and that are dumb. Like, I even took a personality test and it had like this political section in it. I really am not the most political person at all in any way, shape, or form. So for him to just be constantly bringing it up and having strong opinions on it made me want to react in the opposite direction. Like, I think Newton's law, I forgot what it was. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and that's essentially what was happening there because he was literally sucking Trump's balls. And I'm just sitting here like, dude, everybody's wrong. Barack was wrong. Bush was wrong. Like, Clinton was wrong. Trump is wrong too. Everybody's done something wrong. Nobody's perfect. You're not perfect. Trump's not perfect. No one's perfect. That was the point I was trying to get across. Instead, all he was stuck on was Trump. So, yeah, he constantly brought that up. And then on July 27th, 2025, his grandfather passed away. May he rest in peace. And everything just got worse. And the funny part about that is it got worse like July, August. It got worse a month-ish, like a month and a half after the fact of his grandfather dying. And I can completely understand. Like, I can't understand. I've never lost anyone that close to me. I've been blessed enough by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to never lose anyone as close to me as he did because he said his grandfather was his best friend. But the way he treated me after that, which is also not okay. I understand that you're grieving, and I can understand that maybe you're not going to be the same person that you were before. That doesn't give you an excuse to treat me like less than a person, if that makes any sense. So he got worse. He got more adamant about his beliefs, and I later learned that the reason why he was so adamant about them was because his grandfather taught him them. But let me say something that I wish I had said to him before we even got in that whole argument. His grandfather, along with maybe like my grandfather and my great grandmother, all were alive when segregation was a thing. Back then, they believed segregation was the right thing to do. Back then, they believed slavery was the right thing to do. So I'm not saying that he's wrong, but I'm not saying that he's right all the time. Times change and information about times change. A few years ago, there was no gynecology information, and now we have gynecology, and now there's people seeing like all of these um finding all of these diseases and stuff going on in women's ovaries and in women's uteruses. And that's a good thing. But if we stay in the past with our knowledge, we're never going to get there. We would have never gotten to this point. So I kind of feel like maybe some of his information that he was spoon-fed was a little bit outdated. So because his grandfather died, and I was like actively with him while he died, I'd stay up late, much to the detriment of my energy, and much to the benefit of the fatigue that was currently wrecking my body at that time. Like I said, I was in school, so a lot of the times I would be really tired at school, if that makes any sense. Or like when I was awake, I'd just be sitting there thinking about how he's doing. Like, has it finally got to him? Or like stuff like that. I overthink a lot. So just everything somebody that overthinks would think. Yeah, I'd also just stay on the phone and let him vent. Like, if he wanted to vent to me about something, he totally could, and he would. I told him, I'm like, if you need anything, I'm right here. I also got tired of all of our arguments. So I started one unintentionally. I tried to break up with him, or like the words I used in the text messages were break up, but I more so just kind of wanted to take a break because he was kind of doing a lot. And I'm gonna read these messages verbatim as they're said because I have them on my phone right here still saved. So yeah, it all started. I started pulling away September 17th. So September 17th, he texted me at 7 a.m. and said, "Why, hello there." He then later texted me at 12 p.m. saying, "How are you doing today?" I said, "I'm okay. You called me in the middle of my test. LOL." He said, "Oop, I missed you. How was school?" I said, "Man, when I get home, we have to talk right now." He said, "I can talk right now." I said, "Other kids are testing still. I can't talk." The next day at 10 a.m., he said, "Oop." Then later that day at 6 p.m., he said, "Hello, can you play Roblox with me?" And then I think this was a few minutes later. He said, "Now I have to play later. I gotta go somewhere." The next day, which is September 19th, 6 p.m., almost 7 p.m., I said, "Dude, we can't keep doing this." He said, "So what does this mean about us?" Because we were actively on a voice call. I think we were in an Xbox party and we were arguing. And I went quiet and I just texted him because every time that he said something he didn't want his mom to hear, he would text. I ignored him. Well, not really. I ignored him in text messages, but I think we literally spoke in voice. September 20th, 9 a.m., he said, "Hey." Later on, 6 p.m., he said, "Can you hop on?" The 21st at 8 p.m., he said, "Are you okay? You haven't talked to me all day." And then later on, we started calling. And I told him that I wanted to break up. This was the first time that I told him this. He said, "I want you to know that I care about you so much, and that is why this is really difficult for me. I've tried my best to be the boyfriend you deserve, but I feel like I keep falling short. You mean a lot to me, and the last thing I want to do is hurt you. But I think it's best to be honest. You deserve someone who can give you everything without struggle. And even though I've tried, I don't think I can be that person right now. Please know this isn't because I don't care. It's because I care enough to want the very best for you," which hit me like AI. So I said, "Okay." He said, "Only okay." I said, "What else am I supposed to say? I feel like I've put my heart and soul into this relationship, and the repeated defensiveness over simple things is mentally exhausting." Now, during this time, I was also kind of struggling with him sending me messages, like pictures and screenshots of girls' Instagrams saying like, "Oh, she messaged me this," or like she messaged me that, or like she's trying to slide into my DMs. My question is, why do they feel so comfortable being in your DMs? Like, what are you doing to make them feel so comfortable to be in your DMs? So after I said yada yada yada, mentally exhausting, he said, "Look, you said I'm not the same, and everybody noticed. They tried talking to me, and the only people that tried helping me was my mom and my cousin Cruz. You haven't tried anything. I've lost myself in a void. I already know I will never be the same or be fixed. Imagine you saw your father figure on a deathbed because a fucking doctor fucked up, praying 24/7 for them just to fucking say they have to let go, and he passes away on 7/27, and you gone out to your partner, then they make it about themselves. How would you think I feel? I can't think about him without trying not to cry. I'm scarred." So also, I'm responsible enough to take into consideration that I'm responsible enough to admit that maybe that wasn't the best thing to say to someone that had lost their father figure that they once had. But my point was just that that sort of trauma shouldn't make you treat someone and talk to them like they're a terrible person just because that happened to you. That's like saying, I stubbed my toe, so I went outside and when my neighbor said good morning, I told them to go fuck themselves. It doesn't make any sense because it's not okay. Because he was using excuses of like his father figure dying, my father figure kind of sort of, oh, I feel like I inhaled something. I feel like I inhaled a bug. What the heck? Anyways, because he kept using the excuse of watching his father figure die right in front of him. I bring up the fact that I really didn't have one. Like in elementary school, they would joke about me being fatherless and this, that, and the third. But it's really complicated. It's complicated because it's not that he wasn't. It's, there's a lot of situations where black kids have moms that won't allow their dads to see their kids. My mom was not that person. She told my dad, maybe this sounds bad to you, but honestly, this sounds very fair to me. She didn't want to baby trap him. So when she got pregnant after being told that she would never be able to have kids ever, when she got pregnant with my older brother, she told him, you can either stay or you can leave, but you can't leave later if you choose to stay now. He said, I'm gonna stay. Then later on, when she got pregnant with me about a year later, he said, you can either leave or you can stay. And he chose to stay again. When we were When I was 2 and he was 3, I believe, I think I was 1 or I think I was 1 and he was 2. I was either 1 or 2 years old, which made him 2 or 3 years old. They got married. They got divorced like very soon afterwards. And ever since, he just randomly calls. He's dragged us to court a few times. It's really complicated. It's not like he's kept us from him. And honestly, I carry a lot of resentment towards him because he made me believe that she kept us from him. He told us that she wasn't letting him see us. So when we heard that, I kind of got a little bit angry at my mom, regrettably now, obviously. I got upset at my mom. That prompted her to show us all the text messages, her saying, hey, when you're gonna come get the kids, like when you're gonna do this, when you're gonna do that, like the kids need this, don't do this with the kids. And he never listened. So yeah, I do carry a lot of resentment towards him, specifically for that. And also dragging us to court. Like we were 10. I was 10 and my brother was around 11. Not even. I was likely 9. Like maybe from 8 to 10, I'd say for sure. He dragged us to court, which would have made my brother either like from 9 to 11 years old. So it really kind of upset me. Yeah, so I kind of have a really rocky relationship with my dad, my biological dad, by the way. When I refer to my dad in future videos, I'll likely be talking about my stepdad, but that's a whole different story. I said, I cannot fix you, D. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. I can't sit and wait for someone I've loved to fix themselves. My dad couldn't, and I just had to wait another 10 years to be emotionally erect again, which my mom put me in therapy for. He said, one question. The next day, September 22nd, after we got off the phone, he said one question. Can we please stay together? I'll try to stop the arguments. I can't lose you two. I've loved you more than any girl I've ever dated, and I didn't think I was able to. Can we please give it one more shot? And then later on at 8, he said, babe. Later on at 9, he said, oh, dot, dot, dot. I said, we can be friends, but I'm not going to consider a relationship until I see a change, which, mind you, he just said he'll try to stop. Oops. What happened to my. Mind you, he's just told me. There we go. Mind you, he just said, I'll try to stop the arguments. All right? He said, how am I going to change? How am I going to change? And then in all caps, he said, I saw my fucking grandpa. I fucking saw my grandpa die. Of course, I'm going to be cold to you. You can't. Like, there was supposed to be a comment there. You can't love me. You can't love me for me. Dot, dot, dot. Which I did. before he started becoming hostile. He said, I can't change. I never will. I'm dead. I'm what's left inside. And so I said, and it won't work relationship wise because I'm a very straight to the point person. I'm not going to sit here and coddle you and hold you if I know I'm just going to tell you if I know the meaning of what I'm going to say is going to be harsh. He said, so you can't be there for me? Great. I said, I can be there, just not romantically. He said, I need someone to just understand me, not shut me up when not shut me down when I open up. I said, this is what I'm talking about, bro. You don't listen. Which is like the whole conversation about when we were talking was vocal, and we were talking about me listening to him and not shutting him down. He said, I need you not as a friend. I said, you're not listening to me. He said, I'm giving you the same shit, ignoring your words like you do to me. You don't try understanding me or how I feel. I saw my grandpa died and you cover it up with I never really had a father figure. Instead of talking to me and trying to understand, you can't just shut me out. And so I sent him a screenshot that said I sat on call with you for hours and hours on fucking end while after he died. May he rest in peace. Wait, hold on. Where was that? Editing silent here again. So what I was looking for is I was looking for the text messages that I had sent him then, but I think that when I deleted his chat, this also deleted. I told him that I was having problems with my self-image, like physically, like body image issues, and problems with how my face just looks on me. And he just kept bringing up the fact that his grandfather died as an excuse to treat me like a terrible human. I said, you use your father figure dying as an excuse to be a shitty boyfriend. And I was just proving to you that that shit doesn't change you like that. As in, you shouldn't become a worse person because something bad has happened to you. He said, it's not an excuse. I'm not as happy as I was. I'm dead. I'm what remains. So I asked him, I said, and it took 2 months to die inside, which is like after September. Actually, yeah, that was 2 months. From July to September. He wasn't acting like this until like September, around when I was messaging him. He said, no, it's 2 months I've been dead. I said, you didn't change until a few weeks ago. He said, I'd covered my feelings. I acted like I was okay. I was only filled with rage. Now I'm empty. I said, I'm tired of this. He said, Anthony did a better job at understanding me. I'm done trying to have someone who can reassure me. But that's why men say bros before hoes. I get it now. I get it. Boys get each other more, and women decide to make it about themselves, which really pissed me off. Talk to me when you're actually ready to understand me. And so I said, go date Anthony then. How is it that I'm a hoe and you got girls slide into your DMs? I said, you want to talk about you? Let's talk about you. You got these half naked ass girls in thongs in your DMs and shit. Your ex texted you and wanted your ass back, so get back with her. Ain't you the one that dated the school hoe for fun? And you're right, your grandpa did die, and I'm sorry. And I tried to console you over that every night that it was brung up, but I didn't bring it up because I knew that it just brings you down that alley again. So, like what? Okay, whatever. Sorry, I'm not a mind reader, but someone dying doesn't give you the right to make me feel less than. I was trying to be cool with you, but you don't want that. He said, treated you like how you treated me when I opened up. Shut down and shut down. I said, calling me a hoe isn't shutting me down. That's putting me down. He said, same thing though. It hurts your feelings the same. I said, no, it's not. Calling someone a slut isn't normal behavior, and I never shut you down. I'm gonna block you now, by the way. I'll find someone better at homecoming anyways. He said, it hurts more if you got shut down. And they and you opened up to someone. They make it about themselves, why you trusted them. Calling you a hoe is better than shutting you down and making it about me. Blocked him. Yada yada yada. Yada yada yada. And then like I scroll down a little bit after, so I unblocked him on my phone January 13th. This was just random stuff, random stuff, random stuff, random stuff because he asked me, I think December something before New Year's, if we could start over. And I said we could be friends, but I'm not gonna date you until I see a change. Like I said before, he didn't have the same reaction. He was like, okay, cool. we're what's it called? Yada yada yada. I sent him a screenshot of what ICE can and can't do, and basically showing them that they've been breaking their own rules. He said, "It's not on the news, it's on social media. It's a fake. LOL." And so I said, by that logic, most of what you've told me is also fake, since he literally scrolls on TikTok and tells me literally everything this kid sees. He says, "Ha." And then I said, "I just Googled everything that's in this poster, by the way, and Google agrees." So he said, "L rage bait." I said, "If you think the truth is rage bait, go back to elementary school," with a shrug emoji. He said, "Girl, get your out of here with that G." He said, I said, "You say that, but you're not going to address the fact that Google agrees with me." He said, "Uh-huh, right." I said, "Dang, right." And then he put the yawning emoji. So I said, "If you can't explain to me why you support either political party, then shut the F up about politics." Yeah. And they just make sense isn't an answer. He said, "Ha ha ha, B, my papa knew everything about politics to to get, to get He literally says to get butt out of here. Like, bro, this dude can't type. He said, "I know everything he knows." I said, "Well, your papa was also old. You can't teach an old dog new tricks." A lot of old people, and sometimes including my dad, won't change their minds even if they're wrong. And then he like kind of ignored me. That was January 13th. I texted him on the 18th saying, "You still mad?" Laughing emoji. He texted me later on and said, "No, I was busy." I should include all the screenshots. Maybe if I missed one, I'm sorry. But yeah. Mm, later, oh, this is so important. Later, me, him, his friend, and friend's cousin were all in a party, and his friend gave us very unwarranted advice, but maybe it was kind of useful for him. He said, "Maybe you guys aren't good for each other." And I was like, "Okay, I've accepted that. Like clearly that's why we're not together." But then he made it a point to say that I shouldn't have left him while he was at his worst. At this time, I was also dealing with my mom being in the hospital and being taken via ambulance to the ER because of her epilepsy. So I was also kind of at my worst because I had to step up as second mom while she was in the hospital. And that wasn't easy. That's not something that the average 15-year-old should have to do. But I did, to no fault of her own. But it's like it's just what it was. I was dealing with stuff too at my in my own pace. Like I literally didn't think I was gonna be able to say goodbye to my mom because they wouldn't let us into the hospital. Sorry, I was covering my mouth for a second. They wouldn't let us into the hospital until she was like fully okay. So if she was on life support or anything, or had she suddenly died while they were examining her, I wouldn't have been able to say goodbye. She went to the hospital, I think, 3 to 4 times in within the same month or within the same 30 days. And I genuinely thought that I would never get to say just good morning to her. So my response to him was that I also had things going on in my life, but the things that he had said to me was unacceptable. Like, you can't treat me like less than a human because your grandfather died. So the last conversation me and D had ended with him calling me a quote unquote dumb bitch. So I specifically didn't tell his friend all the stuff that D had said to me because I didn't want to embarrass D. I didn't want to feel like I didn't want D to feel like I was putting him down because we were cool at that point. So I didn't tell his friend the full extent of what he said to me. But you better believe after that I sent him all them screenshots. I sent him every single one. I said, "Sent your little friend the screenshots, by the way, so good luck explaining that." Because when he ended the conversation before calling me a dumb bitch, he said that it was tell his friend that he was right. So I texted his friend. I said, "Since D want to wait till you leave to be a little punk, here's the stuff this kid said to me when we were breaking up." I sent him the text messages. I said, "There was more on Xbox, but when I blocked him, they deleted. I also apologize that you have to deal with this. Don't deal with this until after your field op. But one thing life told me is I won't let someone smear my name when their hands were in the stuff that they're smearing my name in." And I ended in that. So, yeah, all of that happened. So, yeah, if any of my friends ask what happened, I'll just direct them to this video. But it's getting kind of long now, and it's also, I forgot I was streaming as well. I thought I was just recording. I'm kind of into it. No one's in here anyways, though, so that's fine. But yeah, it's just like that really does not give you an excuse to treat somebody like less than a person. This is just future advice to anyone that has never dated anyone long distance or anything. I understand that stuff happens. I understand that people go through life, and I understand that sometimes life is hard. I am not unaware of life. I'm aware of life. I've been living life for 16 years now, going on 17. I'm very aware of social dynamics and stuff like that. But I just want to tell you, if you're going through something hard, please don't put your friends away. Please don't push them away. Please don't punish them for trying to help you. Please don't do any of that because that just makes them less willing to help you. If you don't want help, then that's fine. But there's sometimes when you just need to sit down and put your ego aside and accept her help. D was literally asking for help, but when I tried to help him, he wouldn't let me help him. There's a saying, it's like, help me help you. I stand by it so strongly. If you're not gonna help me help you, I'm not gonna try to help you anymore. There's no point. And his friend told me, he used the example, his friend is 19, by the way. His friend used the example of him and his ex-wife. She stayed by him when he was going through stuff and yada, yada, yada. And I'm sitting here like, first of all, we are in two completely different stages of life. I'm still a developing teenager that doesn't have to figure out her way about the world yet. You are in the Marine Corps going on field operations. And my last job was being a website developer for a nonprofit. We are not the same, nor were we raised the same. I have a very no BS policy. If you're BSing me or you're putting me through too much stress that I don't need, I will cut you off. I will cut you off. I will try to talk to you about it, but if nothing changes, I will cut you off. It doesn't matter who you are. You can be my family, you can be my friend, you can be the dude that lives across the street, you can be my neighbor. Don't care who it is. If you're giving me extra stress that I don't need, while trying to take care of my little siblings while my mom's in the hospital, I'm going to cut you off. And that's not negotiable. That's just gonna happen. And you need to understand that I'm not obligated for anything. Understand that marriage says in life or death, in sickness and in health. That's not what I'm agreeing for when I get in a relationship with you, especially as a teenager. He's holding me to the same standards that he should have and did hold his wife to when he married her. And I just didn't think that was fair. I didn't sign up to be verbally abused by this dude that lost his grandfather while we were in the middle of our relationship. Obviously, if it was just that, I would have broken up with him a lot sooner than 2 months. His grandfather died in July. Like, we'd known each other since early July then, or June. That would be 4 months, June to September. I stuck with him for 4 months, and what I'm not gonna do is drive myself nuts trying to fix someone that doesn't wanna be fixed. He literally, like, help me, do this, do that," and while I was doing everything, he was just spitting it back in my face. I very much don't appreciate that, and that's why I broke up with him. So, if this dude ever needs a video explaining the full depths of what was going on in my point of view, this is exactly what I'm gonna send him. I don't care how long it is or what, this is exactly what I'm gonna send him. But it's getting kind of long. I'd like to play the game maybe. And honestly, I'm gonna end it off with just saying this. I don't feel like I have to explain my reason for breaking up with anybody to anyone. I really didn't have to explain to him why I broke up with D, but I did, and in response, he told me that I quote, shouldn't have left matters worse. Mm. But that goes both ways. You can't bring me to my worst. Relationships are meant to uplift each other, support each other when one another needs it, not to put the other one down because you're having a bad day or you miss your grandfather. That is not okay, and that never will be okay. So, yeah, I think that's about it. I will catch you guys later, like later as in a few minutes because I'm gonna stream my laptop. But yeah, that's my TED Talk. Bye.